Hey, everybody,
Hi,
and welcome back to our latest episode. And again, for those who don't remember, I'm Roddy.
I'm Letty.
And together with our son Louie, we live here in Mexico. We've been here for 3 years, and we now call Puerto Vallarta home. And in our episodes and vlogs, we share daily life and all the good and bad of living in Mexico. And today we have a little special topic that has to deal with Puerto Vallarta. So, right now, we're kind of in the swing of the low season. And we're going to mention some things that people may have thought about, and hopefully a few things that people don't think about when it comes to the rainy season here. So, with that, I guess we can jump in. And also, like we always ask, if you find these vlogs valuable, we hope you can like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and let's jump into the low season in Puerto Vallarta. So, we were going to break this down to a pro and con list, but I think a lot of these can kind of be either pro or con depending on how you look at it. So we're just going to kind of talk about some things, again, that you may have thought about and you may not have. The first one, I think it's the most obvious that most people talk about, is the heat and humidity.
Right.
So we've been here, like I said, about 4 months. We're hitting the low season now. How do you think, or what do you feel about the weather so far?
I found it some days, it can be just really humid and hot. I can just judge that by how many times I shower every day. Even in the morning, walk my dogs, do a little bit thing in the kitchen, even there's no fan on, and I got so sweaty and just changing clothes constantly. Yeah, that's the big difference between the humid hot season and the winter season.
Right. And again, that's the one thing you're going to hear everybody talk about. So I don't think we have to spend too much time. I think it's pretty obvious that it is hot and humid here. So be prepared for that if you come to Puerto Vallarta, or I guess pretty much any beach location, right?
But also one thing is the raining season started, and actually the rain comes pretty late.
Right.
They don't really arrive in the early mornings, not every day, but mostly are in the evenings. So during the day, it's still pretty. We can do things, go to the beaches, and just get an umbrella or raincoat for the evening. Right. Sometimes the rain just shower just come from nowhere.
Right, which is a good point, because that was the next thing we were going to talk about was it's rainy here. Now, I think sometimes if you're not familiar with Puerto Vallarta, you might think, you hear rainy season, you might think it rains all the time. But as you mentioned, it tends to happen late afternoon, evening, and into the early mornings. That's when it tends to rain the most. So, like you said, and it actually kind of helps keep things cooler.
Yeah, I really like it after the rain days, and then in the morning, it's so cool.
Yes.
Just take a walk like yesterday. It was beautiful.
Right. And because I think when it doesn't rain for a few days, that's when you kind of really notice it heat up and it gets really kind of hot. So if you do get those rains for a few days, it actually does help keep it a little bit cooler, but it does add to the humidity.
Yes. And also in the raining season now, sometimes the Puerto Vallarta has the mountains around, so it can be getting very crowded. If you are looking forward to watch a beautiful tropical sunset, maybe not be every day.
Yeah. Again, you'll go days and days without seeing the sunset. Actually, I know we were driving on the bus yesterday.
Yeah.
And we kind of looked down. Oh, look, there's actually maybe a sunset today.
Yeah.
There's a little break in the clouds, and we had just missed it, but it looked like you could have seen it if you were there. So not as much chance to see the sunset. And then also, I think it's kind of one of the beauty of an area like this, right, is the rain. I know sometimes people see it as a negative, but I think living here is nice to be able to experience that. Not only the nice days or the high season, but to experience a city and all the jungle areas and the mountains, and it's kind of rainy. Yeah. It's a very warm rain. I know the other day we got stuck in the rain. We were walking back home, and and we just kept on walking, and it was actually pretty nice. It wasn't cold. It was just you get wet and you just kind of have to accept it. But it's a nice, different experience than most people would experience or think when they come to a beach town. So again, that's kind of one of those positive, negative things.
Yeah, right? And it also can be so pretty, as you said, the mountains, the clouds with all the palm trees, and sometimes in the evening it's kind of a little bit reddish in the clouds. It's just so scenery.
Right, and you hear the thunder and the lightning, and it just adds a different element to an already beautiful place.
Yeah. Right? A raining season, I know as a man you love fishing, it's good.
Yeah.
So all the rivers before was so dry, only we see rocks and mud, and then now you see the water flows. It's also very pretty and also good for fishing.
Right. Right. All the rivers start flowing, which is a nice aspect.
And the waterfalls.
And the water, that's true, right? We talked about some at the bar the other day, right? They talked about some of the waterfalls.
Yeah, they got a plan to go
nice.
there. It would be very cool.
Now, with the rivers, again, it's one of those pro-con things, right? It's nice that you see the rivers flow, but
But the rivers here also has a lot of trash.
Yes.
We were so worried that, oh no, the rainy season come. Now we know there's some hurricane come those days.
Mhm.
Look at those trash. Where the trash will go? They will go all rush to the beach, to the water.
And that's exactly what happened, right?
Yes.
The day after it rained or so, the beaches are trashed. I mean, last time you told me, it rained a couple of times and it didn't seem that bad. I kind of noticed that there was a lot of trash in the water, and then on the seashore, this last big rain that we had, you told me, and I went to go see it. It was
just the
so
trash. You just walk there. It's like the width of the trash.
Yeah.
It's not just a few little bit of bottles of plastic branches. It's trashed.
Everything.
It's like the width at least 15-meter long. I couldn't imagine it. It's just a lot.
And actually, it's everything. It is just some natural debris like branches and leaves, which is a lot come down. But it's also like trash that people throw, like big bottles, and I think even like small appliances. And I saw a shoe. So it can become a little bit dangerous to actually kind of walk there because you don't know what might be in the sand. And it's definitely not good to get into the water. The water does turn very murky, which is just the sediment, but also what could be in there or what could be, buried in the sand underneath. It could be some metal pieces or whatever. If you have any open wounds, again, this could cause infections. So again, people who come for a short time and happen to get caught in these days, you might be a little bit disappointed in not being able to go into the water, and you might have to wait a day or two before they get to your beach to kind of clean it up, right? They are in the process now. We've seen them. You said you saw the beach yesterday and it was already cleaned up. I went fishing the day before and they were already working on one of the popular beaches in the hotel zone.
But the water is still dirty.
It's still murky. Yeah.
You can see lots of the black stuff there. And some people still jump there even with their kids.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's how it is.
And you can still go south. I know if you go to, once you go like to Gemelas and the Garza Blanca, the water was still pretty blue there because they're away from the rivers.
True.
Right here in town, I said there's at least 4 or 5 rivers, and so all those things empty into the bay around the city. And again, it's just not going to be as pretty as you expect.
Yeah. Right? So if you come here during those weeks and maybe book something way in the south, or you can easily access to the South Beach if you are looking for swim in the beach.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, right? Look for something south. Right, or maybe even north. We don't Bucerías in those areas too.
True.
Because a lot of the rivers tend to be here. Now, I think the next point, again, positive and negative, is I think it's also pretty obvious is that there's going to be less people here in Puerto Vallarta, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, this could be a con because if you like to be around people and you come into the romantic zone to have fun and to party, well, you're definitely going to run into smaller and lesser crowds, right? So again, if you're an active person, like to do events and see things and be in large groups, well, this is definitely not the time to come. But on the flip side, it's quite nice to be able to walk down the streets and they're much less crowded. I know we were talking about this last night. Again, it felt very empty, and it was like 9 o'clock when we were going to the event, and we were right in the romantic zone, right, walking over the bridge, and it just felt so empty, right? Which is kind of a nice feeling, because again, when you're here in the high season, everything's so crowded. It's just a different feeling. It almost kind of has a small town feel again.
Right, and then we passed by the plaza where the locals are still have their music on. They're still dancing. The food vendors are still around, but just less crowded.
Right, it's definitely.
The Malacon still has people walking. All the food vendors are still there.
Yeah,
but just feel it's more chill,
more space, more breathing room. Right?
Yeah.
So it's definitely nice to be able to walk around and enjoy these parts of town with less people, right?
Yeah, if you talk about, we go out at night, you just need to check out which places. Some bars and the clubs, it's still party time.
Right, yeah.
Right, it's about the time.
Right,
and
time, dates.
And which places you go.
Right, and some places are going to have events,
True.
right? And which again leads to there's going to be less events just because there's less people. So you kind of have to have something special happening, and then you maybe try to focus on those bars, restaurants. They may have an event, to have a little more people there, because you might walk into one and it's completely dead, and you just go next door because they're having something going on, and that's kind of where everybody will be.
True.
Right? So you just gotta have to look for it if that's what you want. Right? If you want to go sit at a bar or a restaurant alone, that's also very easy to do.
Yeah, all the events are still going on. Nothing shut down all the events.
Yeah, just less people.
Or meetups. Right.
And so, which actually, it's nice because, Puerto Vallarta is known for so many of its good restaurants, right? The food here is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I know in the high season, when these very more popular restaurants, you can either be very difficult to get into, or you may have to wait for a long time. But again, with the low season, a lot of times you can just walk right in and get a seat, and you get to enjoy all the awesome food that people might have to wait 20, 30, 40 minutes to get, in the high season. Here, walk in, sit down, order your food. Easy. And again, get to enjoy it so quickly.
And so many happy hours.
Without having to fight through all the crowd, you have to get your drink. Be able to talk to the bartender, which again is quite nice.
And Puerto Vallarta just passed talk about the restaurants. Just passed the restaurants month.
Oh,
I think that was in June.
Right. I think it was the end of June. They had the restaurant week, right? Where they really try to promote all the restaurants. And again, it's a great time because less people. So if you like those kind of events, it's easy to get into.
Right. It's a restaurant month.
Month. Excuse me. I said week, right? All right. What else is kind of something people may not think about?
Another thing is the big thing. If you come here, you plan to stay for longer term, not just Airbnb 1 week. It's a good time to look for your next rentals.
Yes. That's true, right? If you want to come here for long term.
Yeah,
right?
we walk around and we saw so many apartments in downtown or old town. They have for rent signs, and so many apartments looks empty.
Yeah.
Because that's not a high season.
Right. People aren't looking for them yet.
Yeah, and it also might be easier for you, even you're only looking for 3 months, 6 months. It's easy time, or the more choices and the lower price.
Right. Yeah, I think a few people have talked about that. Yeah, the prices are usually better. You're going to have more inventory to check during this time. And that's also a good point about the short term, right? Because as a landlord, I'd rather have somebody in there for 3-4 months. Just get me to the high season, right? And then get out, and then I can raise the price a little bit. So that's actually a good point. So you're going to get a better value.
Yeah, no matter 3-6 months or 1 year.
No matter what, you're going to get a better price.
More choices.
I think that's why we got a good deal. We were kind of at the end of the high season.
Kind of,
when we came. So I think they knew things were starting to go down, so they're willing to kind of give us, I think, a pretty good price.
Yeah, for us, because we have our furniture. So
that did narrow down our choices.
Right.
And so even with long-term stays, if you do plan to stay here for a long time, again, I think another good thing is that not only are there more houses and apartments for rent, but there's more hotel rooms. And just like in any economy, when there's more of something and people aren't taking them, the prices tend to drop. So hotels, Airbnbs, again, you're going to find more of them, and because there's more, the prices are going to go down.
Lower, right?
Maybe you can finally stay at that nicer Airbnb or all-inclusive hotel and save a little bit of money. We haven't checked into the prices. We've never been during low seasons like these all-inclusives, but we know from talking to people that the prices do drop pretty significantly.
And they do have more promotions.
Right.
They keep jumping out on my Facebook page. It's like 2,000 peso lower or something per night. Right. Those ads keep jumping out.
Yeah, they're really trying to fill those rooms. So again, those savings kind of go to the people who are looking to come. If you can deal with the heat, the humidity, the less people, it's a great time to really get a value for your money.
And another thing we're going to watch out are rainy season. There are more bugs, mosquitoes.
Oh yeah.
And even yesterday, the ants came to my room, and I think it's from the balcony after the rain.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. In a tropical location with more rain is going to bring more insects.
Yeah, our neighbor told us some big ants. Which ants bit the lady? That was
our
she's been living here for a long time, years.
And she got bit all up while she was sleeping in her bed.
Yeah,
she got bit all up her arm. She had this big welt on her inside of her elbow. There's just going to be more biting bugs in a humid tropic area, whether it's mosquitoes, whether it's ants. The one that we're talking about that we found in a very popular beach, which was
Miss Maloya. And I got a bit once. Those little, very, very tiny. You don't even see it. But all of a sudden you feel so itchy, someone biting you, but then it's too late.
Right. We think it's called a midge. Right. And there's a variety of bugs. They actually have a name for them here called no-see-ums. Because there's like 2 or 3 little bugs that are very small or hard to see. The midge is one of them. But they are biting insects. And of course, with the rains and the heat, there's just going to be more of them. So bring your insect repellent. If you're sensitive to, especially if you're sensitive to bites and bugs, I know like you are. But even someone like me, I tend not to be as sensitive or get as many bites. Like last time I went fishing in Miss Maloya by myself, I kind of forgot, and I came back and I had some bites on my arm and my legs that I'm still feeling even to this day. I'm a little bit itchy. Yeah,
those can last for at least 1 week. The itchiness just keep coming out. If you're interested to do your own homework, those are the horrible horrible compared to mosquito. Those are the badass.
Yeah. I would definitely say they're worse.
I don't want to go back there again. You know, those things grow in the water, in the river.
Oh,
and normally they come out in May and June. So that's the season.
Which is right now.
Right, but I feel lucky the beaches are around us. No, I never got bit by those.
Not like that.
Right, even where we do have rivers around.
Right. I think it's maybe more specific to certain areas.
True.
But again, just be aware and be prepared.
Yeah.
I think something else you can do, and I think this maybe kind of goes along with the, not hotel rooms, but again, because there's less people, again, if you like to do activities on the beaches, right, whether it's wave running, parasailing, I think maybe there might be a better chance also to get lower prices on the activities, right? Because, or negotiate a little better price. And if you're into negotiating, because just like everything else, there's less people, and all these vendors are still out there trying to make their money. And so again, with less competition, I think they'd rather have somebody ride their wave runner, go on a parasail, go snorkeling, whatever it might be. And so you might be able to negotiate a little better price for beach activities. So again, not only can you save money on hotels, but probably if you like to go out and do beach activities, probably save a little bit of money. Which again, that could be another good thing, right? Get a little bit more value for your money.
Another thing is watch out your bills.
Yeah,
of course.
What I was going to bring up. Right, when you stay here, obviously, and I think some even short term, some of them might charge you for the electricity.
Maybe they give you a credit to a certain amount, but after that you're gonna pay. It really depends on their rules
with the owner. So you have to be careful with that, because a lot of them don't, but some do. Right, and then you might not think you're gonna go over that usage, but you can go over it quite quickly because of the way the scale works here in Mexico. Like once you hit a certain level, it just really shoots up. So you could be surprised by a surprise bill on a short-term stay. Long-term, you definitely need to be careful. We haven't got a full electricity bill yet, in the sense, because we're still only using, I only use air conditioning at night to sleep, but during the day we're just keeping the windows open. So we haven't gotten where we shut all the windows and turn on the AC all day. We're not there yet.
Yeah, we're waiting. But during the day, I think it's good. Even just a window and a fan. And we feel okay.
Yeah, so far it hasn't been overwhelming. I know a lot of people you hear online and in those forums talk about it's just overbearing, and they're talking about how bad it is already.
I think it also depends where you live. We live by the beach, so we got more sea breeze.
I think that helps.
But if you are living in town, not much breeze. It really depends on where you choose to live.
True, right? And I think also where you come from, back home, right?
True.
If you're from a cold area, obviously it's going to be much harder to adjust. So there's a few things you have to consider, if you're going to live here, and how much electricity you may use. How much can you accommodate the heat and humidity here?
Yeah, you may. Once someone told us the bill was
7,000.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
And then the man said, "Oh, maybe my daughter just turn on the AC all the time," and we didn't know.
Oh, right. I thought even our neighbors, I think that's what they said. They said once it gets hot, like July, August, they have all their ACs running all day, and their bill's 7,000, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty high for Mexico.
Yeah. That's way excessive. But like I said, we haven't gotten to that point yet, so
we'll see.
Who knows?
We'll see our bill.
Yeah. Any last things you want to throw on there before we move on? Or, well, like we always ask, because maybe we missed something we didn't think about. If you have been here and experienced something that we didn't talk about, of course, we'd love for you to leave a comment. And just like we mentioned before, if you find value in this, we'd love for you to subscribe and like. And we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.